The matchup that I think has the most juice in the NFL today, Lions-Rams, with tons of playoff implications on the line. That's coming up next on this crossover edition of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and what is up, Lions fans, and welcome to another crossover edition of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions. If you haven't yet, do us a huge favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 daily sports podcast network. And we've got a jam-packed show. We're looking at the keys to this game, the matchups, the storylines, how important this game is for both teams. And joining me to break it down is Locked On Lions host Matt Dery. Matt, you've had a lot of excitement in Detroit with this match for the last couple years. Lots to get into in this one. We're going to break it all down. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions is brought to you by Prize Picks. We got the crossover Thursday Prize Picks, and it is the best thing to do. Go down the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So, Matt, we know this is a Lions team, explosive, talented, great coaching, so much momentum in Detroit. Best Thanksgiving halftime performance I've ever seen with Jack White and Eminem. But heading into this one, does this feel like it is a must win to continue these playoff hopes? Right now, the Lions right on the outside looking in. Just talk about the importance of this game heading into this one against the Rams at SoFi.
Yeah, Doug, always good to see you. I wouldn't call it a must win yet. And I think this is going to be a very difficult game for the Lions to win because the Rams are playing so well. And the Lions are going to have to travel out west and win a game that is going to be very difficult to win just because of how well the Rams are playing and how good Matthew Stafford and that offense have been. And don't forget about that front four you guys have, really the front three and the two outside linebackers. It's going to be tough to block that Rams front. With that being said, you're right. Detroit's sitting in a spot at 8-5 where they're on the outside looking in right now for the playoffs. But if they lose this game, I'm not going to get on the air on Monday or even on Sunday on my post-game show and say it's over. It's not. Then they would have to beat the Steelers and Vikings to set up what I think would be a win and in situation against the Bears. I think it's in week 18. I think it's going to come down to that game at Soldier Field. I think Chicago is going to lose a couple games coming up, whether it's Green Bay, whether it's at San Francisco, which could set up a situation where the Bears are a game up on the Lions with one to play. Lions win, that they'd be in because they have the tiebreaker in a sweep of Chicago. So I'm not saying this is a must win, but man, it would be nice for the Lions to maybe shock a lot of people and beat a really, really good team on the road here.
Don't worry, Matt. I set you up for that because one of my biggest pet peeves in sports is when people call something a must win when it technically is not a must win, whether it eliminates you from playoff contention, whether you're eliminating the playoffs in maybe a 5-7 game series or a one and done game. So I could not agree with you more. Not a must win for the Lions, but as you point out, it would be really nice. It would make life a lot better for Detroit to win. If you're the Rams, you want to win this game because really the playoffs have begun for the Rams when you look at this 2 games that they have. You got the Lions at home at SoFi Stadium, all the subplots, Jared Goff coming back to SoFi, the Lions beating the Rams in the playoffs. That one still stings very much for Rams fans. But if you win on Sunday, you clinch a playoff berth. And then you set up a matchup with the Seahawks on the road on Thursday Night Football that really puts you in a great spot to get that top seed in the NFC. So there's so much to play for on the Rams end. The Lions getting 5.5 points, the most they've got in a game in a long time, which surprises me a little bit. But I think for this one, you always have to start Lions versus Rams with Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. And Matthew Stafford Lions legend, is possibly playing his best football of his career, the front runner to win the MVP this season. It's just been this magical year for Matt Stafford. He didn't have his best game against the Carolina Panthers, and some were wondering, does that open the door for Drake May to step in and possibly win that award? And then he has another big showing against the Cardinals, 3 touchdowns and no interception. So, yeah, just kind of from the outside looking in, I know that you probably have followed Matthew Stafford for even longer than I have. Yeah. What is it like to see him having this success this year with the Rams?
I don't think it's a surprise to anybody how good he's playing, especially here in Detroit. And if you recall years ago, after the Lions shipped him to LA and he won a Super Bowl, it turned into a Stafford love fest here as the Rams were making that run. The Lions won 3 games. All of a sudden, there were Detroit Rams T-shirts. People were adopting the Rams for that run. It was, I'm sorry, but it was wrong. It was stupid. I get the Stafford love. He wins the Super Bowl. But then you're right. Last couple of years, questions about his health. Will he even play this year? He's been awesome. And when you give him time, and they've revamped that offensive line over the last few years, and they're phenomenal. I'm a big Steve Avila fan. I love the Devontae Adams pickup. And he and Puka Nacua seem to have that connection that he and Calvin Johnson had. And it's scary. And I think Lion fans are past all this now. They love Jared Goff. They had the kind of the vitriol before the playoff game where fans 2 hours before the game were screaming Jared Goff's name, and the Jared Goff chant was born before that Rams game just to kind of show Stafford, hey, you're coming back, but we're rooting for our guy. And our guy won. And I think it's worked out for both teams. I really believe that. I think Stafford did the right thing by wanting to go and start something fresh and connecting with McVay. And I think Jared Goff got the right soft landing spot, and he's been very, very good here. So, but this year, man, and you tell me, Doug, I mean, he just seems to be playing at a different level, and have this kind of running attack with those 2 kids behind him and that offensive line. I mean, it's the stage is set for him in the NFC, I think, to make a long run.
No doubt about it. I mean, he's said it multiple times that he's having a blast. He's enjoying himself. And heading into this season, it was, can you even rely on Matthew Stafford? Will we have to turn to a Jimmy Garoppolo for multiple games this season? And I think to the delight of Rams fans everywhere, he's been better than you could have imagined. And just statistically, performance-wise, at age 37, I think a big reason why is other guys have emerged, right? Cooper Kupp, as much as we love Cooper Kupp here, he was not the Cooper Kupp that you know him to be for the last couple of seasons. You bring it to Devontae Adams. He leads the league in touchdown receptions. He improves this Rams red zone offense, which was one of the big reasons why they lost at Ford Field a couple years ago. And he helps turn them into a top 5 team in the red zone. Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, they've emerged as a 2-headed monster. Puka Nacua has taken another leap. You've seen them use the tight ends. Offensive line has protected him. So all those things working in synergy had led to just a Matthew Stafford that's been able to play free and healthy. And you know that he's always been one of the best pure throws of the football that we've ever seen. But I think Jared Goff, I will say, will always have a soft spot. Rams fans will for Jared Goff, because he was that first top pick when they come back to LA, led him to some big wins, took him to the Super Bowl. I'm just upset that we didn't come up with the Jared Goff chant. Jared Goff. It was so easy. He was right there. Why didn't we come up with it? But it's so mind-blowing too. And you look at the numbers since the trade, the Rams 47-34, the Lions 47-33-1. That's 9th for the Rams, 8th for the Lions. 5 playoff wins for the Rams, 2 for the Lions. The Lions have turned into one of the most exciting teams in the NFL. They've completely gone 180 to what they were. And I think this is one of those extremely rare, both sides won the trade. And it's cool to see. But I also think that Jared Goff is going to want to go into SoFi, beat his old team. I think Matthew Stafford is going to want to show the Lions too. So I think that's always going to remain in there.
It's interesting, Doug. It's the one thing Goff hasn't done. I mean, since he's come to Detroit, he's done it all. He won 2 playoff games here, which Stafford never did. He won 1 playoff game here, which Stafford never did. He's taken this team to division titles, which they hadn't done since the 90s. But you're right. He hasn't gone into his old house and won. The 2 wins, of course, over the Rams and his former team and coach were both at Ford Field. So this would be kind of a new thing for him to do. The offense seemed to click again last Thursday against Dallas. They put up a 40-burger on the Cowboys, so that's a good sign. Question's going to be, I don't think about the offense this week. I think they'll score some points, and certainly protecting Goff is huge. But I think the biggest issue for the Lions this weekend is going to be if they're both their safeties, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, both likely out. We know Branch is. Joseph, I don't think is going to play. That could spell doom against that passing attack.
And we're going to get into that next. We're going to dive into some of these key matchups and what it's going to take for the Rams to win, what it's going to take for the Lions to win, some of the big X factors. That's coming up next on this crossover edition of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions. This episode of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions is brought to you by Prize Picks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports, bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineups and your games. It's simple, it's fast, and it's available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. And I love Prize Picks. Ever since I got into it, I pretty much do it all throughout the week. It's added just this extra layer of excitement to holiday sports. You got the bowl games coming up, the college football playoff. You got meaningful football. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. You can choose from a huge range of unique stats, fantasy scores, field goal attempts, free throws made, turnovers, whatever fits your strategy. And they have this really cool early payout feature. It's a great bonus when your lineup starts strong. You may get the option to cash out early. That's a great advantage as well. So definitely go over to Prize Picks. It's amazing. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And we are off and running here on this crossover edition of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions. I want to give a big shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching, listening to every single episode, whether that be on YouTube, whether it be on podcasts, whether they're doing both. Now is the best time to join that Everyday Listeners Club so you won't miss a thing about your Rams or your Detroit Lions. All right, Matt. So kind of getting more into the nitty gritty here in the second segment. We know both of these offenses can score points, and Detroit comes off this big blowout win over the Cowboys where Jared Goff, 309 yards, touchdown. He was cooking. We know the receivers. We know the running backs. We're talking about some of the best players in the league with Jahmyr Gibbs, with Jameson Williams, with Amon St. Brown. On my end, my biggest concern for the Rams heading into this one is the play of the secondary. You saw last week, even though the Rams blew out the Cardinals, McBride got some. Wilson was really going off. Yeah. And Akella Witherspoon still coming back off that injury. Emmanuel Forbes had a couple of down weeks. That's the biggest key for the Rams. Can you match up and avoid the explosives and kind of the short game, too, with Jared Goff and this Detroit Lions offense?
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to try to pick on that secondary. Look, there's no question that the front and the linebackers are the strength of that Rams defense. It's an excellent defense, number 2 in the league, and or at least in the conference in scoring and giving up points. And it just seems like the Rams come out in games and just destroy you with the early offense and take these leads. I know that they're the best scoring team in first quarters in the NFL. I'm with you about that. I think the Lions, what they want to do is keep Stafford and Puka and those guys, Corum, Kyron, off the field. So sustaining long drives is going to be key. I think you're right. The St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond, if he's healthy, had a big game a couple of years ago at SoFi, his first year with the Lions. Was over 100 yards receiving 4 years ago, but still has had some success there. You got to get the weapons involved, Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing game and the running game, and keep the Rams defense off the field. So the matchup of, you're right, St. Brown and the Lions receivers against the Rams secondary is going to be huge if Goff gets time to throw. And that's what we talked about before. That front, I looked it up today, PFF, 3 of your top 4 defenders from PFF are your edge guys or your front. and Puna Ford, of course, being a nice pickup there on the interior. So, man, blocking up front, the situation at left guard is interesting right now. It could be Coyote Awashika. It could be Tristan Colon, or it could be Miles Frazier. They could be rotating 3 guys at left guard this week. So with Christian Mahogany still out, and the interior of that offensive line has been very inconsistent. You know what you're going to get from Penei Sewell, best right tackle in the league. You know what you're getting with Taylor Decker at left tackle, very solid play. But it's been in that interior, that offensive line that worries me this week.
No doubt about it. I think that is where, if you're on the Rams end, if you think you're going to win this game comfortably and blow out the Lions at home, in something that I think would come as a surprise, it's get pressure on Jared Goff. We know that there's no secret about that. He's a different quarterback when you can disrupt and you can force throws, and the numbers bear it out. This year against pressure, Goff is 63 passer rating under pressure. You look at guys like Matthew Stafford, 80.6. You look at some of the better quarterbacks in the league through pressure, Drake May. With Jared Goff, if you can get him to force the ball out, make some errant throws, especially that pressure over the middle, up the middle, you're going to feel better about your chances. But that's where I think the game plan for the Lions should be, and I'm predicting will be, similar to what we saw with Jacoby Brissett, which is what we saw with Mac Jones, which we saw when they made Bryce Young look like a number 1 pick, where you get the ball out, you don't keep it in his hands for long stretches. And the thing about this Rams team is, yes, they do get a lot of pressure, but there have been games where they've struggled to get home and finish and complete the sack. We know pressure is more important than sacks, but I think that's kind of an area where Goff can kind of manipulate this defense if things are going right for the Detroit Lions offense.
No, I agree with you, Doug. And I think the biggest thing, too, for this week, and I'll throw this out there, is some creativity on offense. For the Locked On Rams listeners and viewers that don't know, Dan Campbell's been calling the plays now the last 4 or 5 games. Offensive coordinator Johnny Morton has kind of been demoted a bit. Now, he's still the OC. He still has a big hand in the game planning, but during the games, Dan Campbell's calling the shots. Obviously, the last 3 years under Ben Johnson, this offense was dynamic, explosive, but also very creative with trick plays. I think the Lions have got to throw a couple of things at the Rams this week to throw them off. I'm not calling for the stumble bum play like they ran in Chicago last year with the fake falling down play or anything like that, but watch for Dan Skipper in a tackle eligible situation. David Montgomery in a wildcat situation has happened this year. Something creative, a pass, a lateral maybe out to Jameson Williams. He fires it down the field. They've got to score this week. The Rams are going to put up points. Lions defense is banged up. Hutchinson's playing well. The Lions have a really good play from Al-Qadim Muhammad last week, the defensive player of the week, off the edge, but that secondary is extremely banged up. So the Lions are gonna have to score, but I think they're gonna do it in some creative ways. They gotta pull out some things out of the bag of tricks this week, Doug, to make it interesting.
And Laporte is not around for the famous stumble bum, which we love to see. But yeah, I mean, we kind of mentioned briefly about college football and the college football playoff come along. I kind of get a little bit of a college football energy from the Lions in this game, whereas, yeah, sometimes when you're going up against a team where you expect them to score points, and the Rams certainly have done that a lot lately, 28 or more points in 6 of their last 7 games. The great equalizer in that is kind of seeing something creative that the Lions have been able to do when a lot of teams around the league just haven't done that in the last couple of seasons. So love that you bring that up, and it's something that I definitely think could be a factor early in this game, no doubt about it. But if you're the Rams too, I mean, you look at this Lions team, they score points too, 24 or more points in 10 of their 13 games. You expect that at the very least they get some offense going. The biggest key, I think, defensively, outside of stopping their big name receivers and avoiding those explosives and having the secondary kind of play a lot better than they have of late, is one of the things that has really unlocked this Rams defense. You mentioned Puna Ford. He's been a difference maker for this team, stopping the run. And you saw Gibbs, 7 catches for 77 yards. David Montgomery had a nice breaker, had 60 yards. What this Rams defense has been able to do this season is avoid the explosive plays. They've been good against the run. If Detroit can have success on the ground, I think that opens things up big time too. So the Rams have to continue that trend for this season. Yeah,
and the Lions have plenty of guys, like you said. Will be interesting to see Sunday I have no idea who's starting a tight end, and I don't think the Lions know. The guy that's been starting the last 3 weeks, Ross Dwelly, who's their third tight end after Laporta and Brock Wright are both out, just got waived. So it's anybody's guess who will be at tight end. Doug McCain, maybe Travis Rogers. If you guys can play tight end, what do you think?
Get me the rock. You know what? No, because I'll just drop the ball and fumble it so the Rams can win. That'd be my goal in that one for sure. But so St. Brown's been playing through an ankle injury, right? But he's still at 92 yards.
Yeah, he's good. He I think it was a game time decision last Thursday, and yet there he was near 100 yards receiving and having a big game. So a little extra time. The Lions have had a little extra more time to prep after the Thursday game. So hopefully some guys did get rested up and healthy. But like I said, no Brian Branch, no Kirby Joseph. That's trouble.
Yeah. He had 5 sacks against the Cowboys, though. I mean, getting pressure on Stafford could be a massive boost for this Lions defense too. So coming up next, though, we're going to continue to dive into this one. I don't know if Matt's going to throw out a prediction. Probably saves that for his Friday show, I'm guessing, right? But we'll continue to break this one down because this is a fascinating matchup. I'm telling you, I actually want to get Matt's thoughts. Does this matchup have as much juice as any matchup in the NFL in 2025? I think it does. I want to hear Matt's opinion on that. That's coming up next on this crossover edition of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions. And a reminder that today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Car Gurus. Car shopping should feel exciting, not confusing. And with Car Gurus, you get the confidence you deserve. They cut through all the noise so you can actually see the best deals on the cars you want. Because when it comes to a big purchase, you deserve the best deal. And Car Gurus makes the whole process simple by giving you real information, real deal ratings, and more listings than anyone else, so you can shop the way you want. Use Car Guru's deal ratings to compare cars quickly without having to guess whether the price is fair. All kinds of awesome stuff, really. I mean, you love to be able to filter everything: mileage, trim, features, so you're only seeing cars that you actually want and ones that fit your needs. Their price drop alert is a lifesaver too. You get notified the second a car you're watching becomes a deal. And another thing too, the in-depth vehicle reviews help you understand what ownership actually looks like, not just how the car looks online. That's important too. It's not just the looks, it's kind of under the hood stuff too, reliability. But have you ever really been to a dealership and you see upfront pricing, the whole thing feels transparent? That's how you're going to get with this too. So Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships for a transparent and hassle-free buying process. There are 4 million listings, the most of any major online automotive marketplace. You'll always find the best deal. Shop the way you want with the tools, data, and unbiased deal ratings that make it easy. Buy or sell your next car today at cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com, cargurus.com. And guys, it's 2025, almost 2026, and those days for waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see a doctor, they're over. No more walking it off for 6 months. No more pretending that weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping wrong. It's time to take your health seriously, and ZocDoc makes that easier than ever. Because staying healthy is more than hitting the gym and eating right. It's about actually getting checked out when something feels off. When you use ZocDoc, it makes scheduling easier, searching for in-network doctors, and you book the right appointment right in the app. You have real appointment times that are listed, including same-day visits, no more back-and-forth phone calls or waiting weeks to be seen, super helpful routine checkups, all those little issues that you've been meaning to get checked out. You can do that quickly with ZocDoc. So stop putting your doctor's appointments off and get the care you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. And welcome back to this crossover edition of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions. All right, Matt. So this third segment, I will say, for most of these matchups in the NFL, outside of the San Francisco 49ers, the one where Lions fans will mostly be in the mentions, be in the comments, it is the Lions matchup. I mean, what do you make? It feels like, yes, it's dependent on Stafford and Goff being there and Dan Campbell and Sean McVay. I don't think it's going to be a rivalry. It's going to last till the end of time. But at least right now, there's some juice between these two teams.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, Doug, going to this game out in LA, people that made this plan a long time ago, people that were able to get tickets. There's going to be a ton of Honolulu blue and silver in the stands at SoFi on Sunday. I know that you're used to that, but I expect to see it. A lot of people really want to make this trip, and it's around the holidays, so they will be there. I love what you said about looking forward to the matchup. I agree with you. I mean, Lions and Packers, but week one was interesting because it was week one, and they were playing at Lambeau, and it was the 4:25 Eastern game, and the Lions were terrible that day. And then to have them on Thanksgiving were two intriguing matchups. But if the Lions want to figure it out, imagine this town will do a total 180. Not that they're down on the Lions, okay? But people are questioning, where's this thing going this year? They go into LA and beat the Rams, who are playing excellent football and 10-3, and Stafford's rolling. That would be some kind of win. So I'm with you. I'm really looking forward to this game. I had a lot of excitement earlier in the year when they played Baltimore on Monday night. Turned out the Ravens really just aren't that good. But the Rams are legit. And for Goff, like you said, to go in and beat the Rams again would be something else, especially in their house. So I am excited about it. This is a matchup. I think you're right on the schedule is pretty darn good. I was into that Bears-Packers game last week. I thought that was great theater and TV, but this has the makings to be a shootout and a fun game. I agree with you.
No doubt about it. And I'm absolutely shocked that it wasn't an SNF NBC game, Sunday Night Football standalone. That shocks me. But you're absolutely right. I think this is a game for the Lions where you win this game and then it's not, the coordinators are gone and it's this disappointment. Are they trending in the wrong direction? Have they peaked? It's no, this is a Lions team that could be peaking at the right time and be a hot team heading into the playoffs, a team that no one wants to play. If you're the Rams, though, and you take care of business on Sunday and you're not looking ahead to going up to Seattle on Thursday Night Football and you win against the Lions and you win against the Seahawks, that sends a message to the rest of the league that this is a Rams team that's not just happy with the division title. They want to win the whole darn thing and set themselves up through the entire playoffs of, hey, you want to win, you have to come to SoFi Stadium because you don't want to go to some of the teams you mentioned. You don't want to go to Lambeau. You don't want to go to Philly. You want to stay at SoFi Stadium. And yes, that was a little bit of a shot from you. I heard it saying that we're used to it as far as
Come on, Doug.
I look.
I'm right.
I took
it's the
that
same.
person.
It's the same if they were playing the Chargers.
Okay. You put some respect. I'm going to send you. Look,
Rams fans are better than the Chargers. The Chargers belong in San Diego. But
look, I guarantee you that entire stadium is going to be wearing blue. That's what I'm going to guarantee you on Sunday. Okay, and it will be mostly the Ramley. Okay,
Doug, let me ask you this. You mentioned it. Thursday in Seattle. That's a huge game. Any chance they're looking ahead? Any chance?
I would say that is something that for a Sean McVay coach team with so many trusted veterans, you don't have to worry about. I think it's the best matchup because it's the Lions, because it's the extra juice that we talked about. If it was the Cardinals at home, I think it'd be an easier matchup, obviously, but I think that's where the look ahead could come into play. The Rams know it's at stake. They know that if you lose against the Lions, against the Seahawks, not only might you not finish with the division win, there's a world where if you crash out to the end of the year, you won't make the playoffs, but that's unlikely, but there's still so much to play for. I just don't think they look ahead just because I think this is a Rams team that realizes that this is not a roster that's put together for this 5, 6, 7 year run. It's really put together for a year by year basis, and they know what they have this season. They're going to be focused and primed and ready. But you will look. Go watch the Buccaneers game. The Ramley is filling up SoFi. I'm sure it'll be. I think you're right though. It's December. Lions fans, they want to get to LA. It's a big game. I'm sure of it. But I'm expecting a great crowd regardless. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But Matt, I'm pretty sure you throw out your prediction on Friday. We both have kind of laid out how this one.
I know.
Things going to play out.
You mentioned before our friends at FanDuel had it up to 5.5. The line has jumped in the Rams' favor here a little bit, which is not a good sign if you're a Lions fan. I don't know. I pretty much, I think, picked the Lions to win almost every game this year. I'm not trying to remember the last time I picked against them. But I'm impressed with this Rams team. That front, those 5 guys really scare me. The 2 backers and that can get to the passer. They're playing their aggressive style, and how they get to at the quarterback is how the Lions have been playing the last few years. And it's the way they've rebuilt that team the last couple of seasons here has been really, really impressive. I like watching them play. So I watched the Arizona game. Cardinals looked like they quit at the end of that game. Rams really kind of just stepped on their necks. I'm sure it's been fun for you to cover them.
No, 100%. And there's nothing worse you can say about a team, especially a professional team, is that they quit. I think that should be grounds for termination for your head coach immediately. We'll see if the Cardinals stays with their guy, but I think this one ends up somehow being a close game. Of course, I'm with you. I basically picked the Rams every single game this year, and outside of a blocked field goal against the Eagles and a big letdown against the 49ers, and a letdown against the Panthers, I've been mostly right, but I do think this is going to be a close game because I expect the Lions offense to find a way to keep themselves in it, just because there's so many playoff implications in this one, and there's just so much competitive fire between these two teams. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be exciting. And you can watch Matt's preview show tomorrow. Maybe we'll give you a score prediction, more keys to the game. And same with us here on Locked On Rams. We'll be back with you Friday with our keys to victory and a final injury report. But that is going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams and Locked On Lions, as crossover edition. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell for Rams and Lions news, analysis all season long, 24/7, 365. But that is going to do it. Good luck to the Lions. And as always, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.